It's debate night. We're going to debate who we should pick up off the waiver wire. What? We are the Roto Hacker Podcast. We are your unauthorized source of information and tons of other cool stuff. We're coming at you live. My name's Judah Puda. I'm here with AJ Herschel, the kid, and it's Jared. He beat me again.
Did I?
I'm surprised I didn't see the glasses tonight.
Me too.
I like to,
first thing I said.
Here's the thing. I thought about it and I thought, you know what? Act like you've been there before. But then I thought about it again and I'm like, I don't have to act like it. We have been here over and over and over. 5 and let me tell you what happened.
Is it
5
and 0, really?
Yep, go ahead.
5 and 0. Let me tell you what happened, AJ. See, I went 3-0 against Judah Buddha in our public league last season. I played him in week 1 again in our public league this season. Judah, did you ever see the movie Home Alone? Did you ever see the movie?
Of course,
you've seen the movie Home Alone. Okay, yes. So Judah's like little Kevin McAllister. You know, Judah knows that the big bad robber's coming in to take stuff, and so he's going to try to set up all these little traps. And so, so he creates a league where he makes all the rules and settings. There's no kickers, no defense. It's fab on waivers. I've never done that before. You know, it's like you know, he's putting little toy cars on the stairs to trip over, all these little things. But the story turned out different this time. I just came in, gave him a whooping. Gave him a whooping, sent him to bed, took whatever I wanted from the house, and just walked out. It was a modern, different, alternate universe take on the Home Alone story.
I guess that's what happened. Yikes! Okay, so how did you guys, other than the whooping you gave me, how did you guys do in your leagues this week? How was it? And leave in the comment section below. We have a lot of great listeners in our listeners league and abroad. How did you guys do? We had Ben as a special guest last Saturday. Talk about a whooping. Poor Ben.
Ben and Ryan both in different ways had pretty crushing weeks.
Yeah.
Poor guys. But that's okay. Guys, I'm with you. What is the little thing?
Yeah, it's the 3-finger salute. Hunger Games, yeah.
And we'll rise again. We'll rise back. I don't probably want to say we'll rise again. We'll rise back. Well, anyways,
don't say rise up. Don't say rise up because that has not been working for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Not gonna say rise up.
We gotta get to that tonight too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's hurry up. We only have about 45 minutes, so let's hit all the main points. We'll skip how we did. You guys did okay. I'll say that I have one league where I am 0-3, and that's the league I had Michael Thomas in. Do you guys have any leagues where you're just gonna give up on?
I don't give up. I don't give up on 0-3 leagues, but I've got several, which I have tons and tons of teams. But so my team has 390. Like one team, it's $100 team, has 393 points. Second most in the league. It's had 443 scored against it, by far the most in the league.
That's not math.
How does
that math work?
The teams that I have that are doing bad, like I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, people are just literally scoring 150 points against me each week.
I feel that.
So,
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't given up on anything either. I mean, I'm 3-0 in two big leagues that I really want to win. So that's always
3-0?
important.
Nice.
In two of them, yeah. One of them with just family and friends, I'm 3-0, and the other one, I'm actually 3-0 in a league with a bunch of Judah Buddha's college friends that he invited me to last year. So I'm 3-0 there. So
Well,
hopefully
college friends. It's like college friends, and I don't know if there's a few teams that I don't think anybody's manning, but whatever.
Either way, it's still a 3-0 record. But I will say, I think, Jared, you'll be very interested to hear about this. This friend of mine lost a game by 0.02 because Aaron Rodgers took a knee at the end of the Packers Saints game.
Well, I won a game last week by 0.02, and I lost a game this week by 0.02.
Oh,
so apparently there's something going around. I'm hoping for a stat correction. Probably won't happen, but that's some strange shenanigans to have two games myself decided by that much, and then someone that would have decided by that.
That's a little strange. Well, we have Rude Alva.
What's up?
In the chat, hanging out with us. Thanks for showing up, buddy. Everybody who's watching, give us a shout out. We want to know. We want to shout you out and tell us how you did this week. Guys, what's in the news? Because it's a strange season. We knew it was going to be strange. I'm not giving up on my. Well, I'll tell you this: the 0-3 team is like I did pay $20 for it, so maybe but I am just giving more attention to other teams. I'm not giving up on it, but I'm not going to really maybe I should pay more attention to it.
I came back from, I had a 250 team one time that started 1-5.
Ooh.
And I finished the season 7-1 on a 7-1 run and made the playoffs at 8-6 and won I didn't win the championship, but I won the semifinal game. Nice. So I tripled my money on it. So ever since then, I don't give up on any teams. I had a team.
I feel that.
I had a team last year. It was a $100 league. It was terrible all season. Scraped into the playoffs at 7-7. Played the number one team in the league. He had a just stacked team. I played him in week 14. Had to beat him to get in. I beat him. I had to play him again.
Oh my goodness.
Then in week 15. So I thought there's no way I'm going to beat him 2 weeks in a row. I beat him again, and then I went on to win the championship. So
beautiful.
That's beautiful. Like you don't give up. You can still come back and win.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the news. As much as people want to know about our own personal leagues, there's not a ton, which is good. Mm-hmm. But this has been one of the strangest years in which it's almost like no news is bad news. I want to hear about recoveries. I want to hear someone's going to play. I feel like we're hearing a lot of
Yeah. Well, the big news today is, what's going to happen with the Titans game.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then I guess to a certain extent, so that affects Titans and Steelers players because the Steelers had nothing to do with it other than the fact that they happened to be scheduled to play them. And then I'm not sure if there's any difference with the Vikings, if they have to go by the same protocols. But what I saw said that the Titans won't be allowed into their facility until Saturday. So
I saw that too.
What does that mean for? Oh, wait, we've got some questions. We'll come to your questions, Rude. Hang on, Rude, and we will come back. We just want to hit. We don't have very much time. Let's hit the. So, what does that mean? Are they going to play? We don't know for sure, right? They still could play next week. What do they need to play? Do we know?
I don't know if unless AJ's seen something, I haven't seen any kind of guidelines for what's going to happen.
Yeah, nothing yet. And I think Vikings, I think are also taking a couple days out of their facility since they played Tennessee. They're not going in either. So,
they have said So who's playing the Vikings? Is
it Houston or
no, because I saw somebody said that they are going to play.
Yeah, Houston this week.
Is it Houston? Okay,
Yep.
then it was Houston. Said they're going to play. They're okay with playing Minnesota. They're good to go. Who are the Titans? Oh, the Titans are playing Pittsburgh. So we'll
they're
see.
gonna lose.
We'll see.
Probably.
We'll see. I mean, this is not the year to make, make certain bolds.
Fair enough.
Because I don't know. I don't know if you saw that Pittsburgh game, but it was not a slam dunk for Pittsburgh.
True.
They did not look like a well-oiled machine.
They haven't either of the first 2 weeks really. I mean, against Denver, Denver pushed them. So
the first 3 weeks.
First 3 weeks. Sorry. Yeah.
Denver pushed them. They watching old man Roethlisberger is a little bit painful. He's not the same he's always been. And,
none of the older quarterbacks so far this year. Not Ben, not Brady, not Breeze. None of them.
Rodgers has had a little resurgence.
Rodgers is.
Yeah.
Hey,
He's a couple of years younger. He's not quite the upper echelon, but
True.
yeah.
Okay. Well, what about Matt Ryan?
I feel
he's
bad
actually
for him.
looking pretty good. What is happening here?
His
AJ,
defense, no, I'm sorry. I
what
feel
do you think, man?
I like Ryan. I like Ryan. And
You're
defense
breaking up.
is absolute
Hold up.
garbage. I'm breaking up. Of course I am. Okay. Am I
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. One, his defense is absolute garbage. 2, Julio was out last week. 3, Russell Gage went out last week. So worst case scenarios just lining up for you right now. And you're in a division where the teams are only getting tougher. And I feel so bad for him, man. If he was on like almost any other team with a decent defense, I feel they're almost instant playoff contenders. Like put him on Pittsburgh, they're Super Bowl contenders to me.
I feel bad for him, but I also feel like fantasy gold.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jared?
You feel like fantasy gold in what way? You mean like just him having to throw the ball? Or
Yeah.
Although,
I mean, he's good. How many points did he have this week?
Oh, he didn't
had
do
a rough
well.
game. Well, granted, he had Ridley
really?
and like that was it for half the game.
Yeah, they threw
That's true.
they threw like one ball to Hayden Hurst. Like Hayden Hurst caught a pass, and then that was it.
He looked great
yeah.
for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week. There were games last year where the Falcons would be at home, things would be set up for Matt Ryan to have a good game, and then they would go from just balling out on people to a dud, and he had 12.42 points last week. So
that's rough.
That killed a lot of people. I'm sure that was about like starting Minshew. So yeah, a lot of people probably got burned by that.
Oh, yeah, that's too bad.
But they play the Packers. They play the Packers this week, Monday night. That should be a shootout. Julio hopefully will be back for that.
Yeah, by Monday.
Well, if nothing else, the Falcons will have to throw the ball. Like we can't guarantee that they'll score, but Green Bay is going to score on them. So they're gonna have to throw the ball at least.
But as we just saw last night, you can get scored on and not score very much in return, even if you're a high-powered offense. What did you guys think of that game last night? I thought it was kind of weird.
Jared, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, the Chiefs offense did a lot better than I expected, and the Ravens did a lot worse than I expected. I thought it would be a fairly close game, but I thought that the Ravens had probably closed the gap enough to like squeak out a win at home. But again, we're going back to having no fans. There's no true like home field noise advantage and things like that for most teams. So it was fun to watch, but I don't know, I mean, 2 games in a row, I guess, the real takeaways for me for fantasy purposes, not to just rub salt in the wound here, but Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson. Mark Ingram can't be trusted, like I've talked about. Lamar Jackson, what's that, 2 weeks in a row where he's been around 15 points or so?
It has been 2 weeks in a row. How did Minshew do last week? I'm just checking really quick.
I don't
this week.
The undrafted Minshew that I played in other leagues, not against you.
Okay.
Versus paying $30-something in auction for Lamar. No, Minshew was about 5 points worse, but I think if we adjust it for what you paid for him, Lamar is hurting people significantly more.
I don't know about that. I'm solid having Lamar. I'm fine having Lamar.
What? Okay, right. But to this point,
I mean, I could have taken instead. I could have taken who would you have taken? You took him in the 3rd round, right?
We don't have.
I took him in the 3rd round.
We don't have to legislate like who should have been taken. I'm just saying that it's hard to dispute that. Like right now, you're not getting what you paid for.
No, right now you're right. But
so do you think that's? Do you think that's
got almost 100 yards last night on one of the worst games of his, probably going to be of his life.
Game. Probably the worst. Game.
Yeah. 86 yards running. Someone told me it doesn't matter about touchdowns or something like that. Having a nice base of 85 yards, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think
a quarterback.
I think you might be twisting what was said because touchdowns do come and go, but that's 2 weeks in a row for Lamar Jackson, who was predicted to be the top quarterback. I don't know. So regardless, you're not worried. Basically, the takeaway is that you're not worried.
No, I feel good having Lamar in my. He just faced the worst competition he's going to face all year. So
you mean the toughest?
Yeah, the toughest. Who's he going to face?
Pittsburgh. Every Ravens Steelers game is perpetually 20-17 for the last 8 years. It's not even like his skill, or I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to be the team to stop him, but it's just that Ravens Steelers is always like this. Always. Just period.
I think part of the worrisome part to me is, and again, it could just be 2 coincidental games in a row. Like with the Houston game, he didn't have that great of a game, not because Houston has a good defense, but just because, they won fairly comfortably there. And are they really going to, in games like that, where they have 3 running backs that they like to run the ball with, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, and J.K. Dobbins, are they maybe not going to try to put Lamar in harm's way as much in games where it's fairly comfortable? Obviously last night they did, but I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about him, or I would be.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The only thing that does sort of worry me was I'm not worried about the games or anything, but there was something about his attitude last night that kind of worried me. He seemed angry. He seemed, I don't know. There was an emotional thing. We've talked about it before, Jared. When you see things off the field that kind of worry you, when you saw, what's his name, downtown Antonio Brown, kind of with the little craziness in his eyes, that gave you some pause. And I saw some.
Yeah.
I saw some insecurity last night from him that I haven't seen before, and mostly he has been pretty unflappable, and so that's the part that sort of worried me. Hopefully, emotionally, mentally, he can get back in the game, because physically, he's got the coach. As far as situation goes, everything's great. as far as skill and ability, body, he's got everything. Can he get his mind back in the game? That we'll see. Well, I'm looking for confirmation next week. But if he doesn't, you know who my backup is? Dak. So I'm all right.
How much did you spend on quarterbacks?
I'm mostly in redraft. I mean, in snake drafts. So
Okay.
all right, let's move on then. Unless you have something to say about it, AJ Herschel, what are you thinking about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, guess how many shares of Lamar I have? 0, and that is completely unintentional.
Same for me.
Yeah.
He was just too expensive.
Yeah, and for me, even because I do a lot of snake drafts more than I do auction drafts. Like I think our one might be my only auction draft this year. People just took him at like pick 17, so I was like, I'll just take Josh Jacobs instead. I'll just take Eckler instead and get Russell Wilson or Josh Allen down in round 6, 7, 8. So I just didn't get him partially, and I think he'll be fine because the Ravens schedule is super easy. He'll have a nice, safe floor. He'll be fine. He'll be fine in the long run.
Why are you wearing a Seahawks shirt?
Because my uncle is from Seattle, and so when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, he sent me a Super Bowl T-shirt.
Okay.
So why not? Plus, Russell Wilson's popping off right now, so why not?
That's for sure. And AJ, you and I were much higher on him. Well, Jared was kind of high on him. He was kind of low on him.
Who is this?
Huh?
Who are we talking about?
On Russell Wilson.
Oh, okay.
But you know, whatever. So Rude says, "What's up, guys?" Then he says, "Is it time to waive Swift?"
10-team leagues, yes. I would say yes in 10-team, especially because I don't know. So I have a habit of stacking up on running backs so far this year. Like I have leagues where I've been able to get Kelly, Davis, Freeman. I already have McCaffrey on IR. Like I just load up on running backs. I think in 12-team, Swift is interesting because I think you can keep him just in case Peterson gets hurt, because we all know he's 75 years old or whatever. But in 10-team leagues, especially the ones I'm in, typically there's a Gaskin or someone that I can grab on the waiver wire that I actually might be able to use instead of Swift right now. I think he got targeted once last game. As much as I hate saying this, as much as the Georgia fan in me hates saying this, in 10-team, yes.
What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, I'm trying not to waive him. Like I've got one league where I'm debating it. It's between him and another guy or two, but you know, I hate to do that because, you know, are they going to keep, is this Adrian Peterson thing? Is this going to be a season long thing? Are they going to shift to Swift at some point? But then you've got Carry on there too. So I think between AP and Carry on, it does make it tougher to hang on to Swift. Running backs are at such a premium. He's a talented young guy. You know, you don't want to do it. But it is getting kind of tough, you know, I mean, especially I think it's easier if you're doing well, you know, if you're 3-0 and you don't have like immediate needs or something like that, you're probably in a better spot to maybe hang on to him. Like, but if you're 0-3, 1-2, something like that, you know, and you need a good defense for the week, or you need an extra receiver or whatever, it starts getting kind of tough to hang on to a guy like him.
And he plays in Detroit, so.
And he plays in Detroit, and Detroit's never reliable with running backs. Yeah.
I would say this though. I mean, a little bit pushback against if you're doing well. I would drop him if I'm not doing well, because he's not going to help you in the next couple of weeks, and you need to start doing well. Okay,
yeah,
that's okay. If that's what you're saying, if you're not doing well, if you're like 0-3, drop his butt. But he is a rookie, and he will eventually be worked in a lot more. They trusted him more at the beginning than I thought they would when he was hurt.
Yeah,
I think just give it time. He could be. I don't know. He may just be a huge bust.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was just going to say, what scares me is the mirror situation of where I think back to where AP was in New Orleans the year that they drafted Kamara. And then after a handful of games, 3 or 4, they traded him to Arizona and Kamara broke out. I don't think it's going to be the same thing. And I think with Detroit, you just can't trust them to run the ball like that. But I do have just that PTSD of thinking back to leagues where I dropped Kamara and then got burned by that.
He says Hyde is available. AP is available. Justin Jefferson is available. Do you guys
what happened to Justin Jefferson, man?
Do you guys buy the Justin Jefferson hype right now? Because he's going to be the number one waiver wire pickup. Spoiler alert. Most people are going to spend the most fab on them. I don't know what you guys think. I'm probably not. But what do you guys think? I mean, if you need a wide receiver, might be important to get.
AJ?
I like Justin Jefferson as a player. I like where he went because I thought he would slot in as a nice 2 behind Diggs, and he went from one purple and gold team to the next. So I mean, he doesn't even have to worry about seeing different colors for his team.
Color consistency is important.
Absolutely. I like Jefferson, especially in 12-team leagues. I do like Justin Jefferson, and I think this is another situation like you guys were saying. If you're 3-0, if you've got maybe wide receivers going down like flies, like Chris Godwin, or if you're still having Michael Thomas troubles, I think Jefferson's a decent pickup because he could evolve into a nice number 2 with Kirk Cousins, because I still don't know what to think about the Minnesota Vikings because they're whack. I like Jefferson. I think he's an interesting pickup in some places.
Yeah, I think basically just what you guys said. I mean, I think 12-team leagues, he's a good pickup as for something like our league where you've got 12 teams and 2 flex spots. I mean, he's perfect for something like that. I think Thomas H picked him up, which was a good move on his part the day before. I actually thought about it, and I ended up getting KJ Hamler, so I made the wrong pick on that.
Maybe KJ Hamler didn't look too bad.
Yeah, maybe Hamler blows up.
The Broncos did.
Yeah, the Broncos did. So yeah, I don't think I think this is going to be an outlier. Probably. I mean that they're a run team. Thielen's going to get a lot of balls when they do pass. He's still a rookie. I think he can be solid, but he's not doing this that often. I don't think.
Yeah. You think this is his Sammy Watkins game, basically?
I would think so, but we'll see.
I think he's going to have great games. It's going to be hard to tell when.
Right. That's a good way to say it.
Thomas H. Look at Thomas H. Did he play? Did he play with Fitzpatrick or something? I didn't see that.
Maybe the swagger is from the fact that he and I are the only unbeaten teams remaining in the Roto Hackers list.
That could very well be it.
Jared is like the Seattle Seahawks, and Thomas H is perfectly on point. He is Chicago right now. That's what he said last week.
He really is.
Left.
Drew Veno in the house. What's up, dude?
What's up, Drew?
All right. Sam says, you look fantastic, boys.
Thanks.
And then he says, and yes, Ingram sucks poopy. That's an image. And Sam says as well, best advice this week? Buy low on DJ. Did DJ have a bad game? I watched him play.
We're saying David Johnson or Deshaun Jackson? I just want to check here.
Or DJ Chark or or Moore.
DJ Moore?
There's a lot of DJs. You're gonna have to specify the DJ.
Sam, you're gonna have to specify. I was thinking you were talking about David Johnson because he's mostly the one.
To which I would say
DJ.
Yes. I would buy low on him.
Because that's the only one I would buy low on. And I don't think these other guys. Well, DJ Chark would be a buy low. I don't know if you want to. I had an opportunity today to trade Henderson for him, and I passed. I was like, I just don't like the offense. And I know how sporadic he can be even when he's healthy last year.
And he did.
He said, David Johnson.
But DJX is on his page.
I have heard some rumblings of how next week is D-Jax's breakout week. I thought it was going to be this week. I played him. He sunk me in some leagues, so you know, whatever. But what do you guys think about both David Johnson and DJ Chark? AJ, you first.
I don't know what to think about Chark at this rate. He's been getting minimal targets from Minshew. Week 3, the Jaguars were a mess with the exception of Robinson, who is starting to look like the best pickup of the year so far. And I'm not sure how I feel about Chark, because if he was getting 7 targets or more a game, yeah, I'd totally buy low on him. But if he's still going to get 5 targets a game, and so is Cole, and so is Conley, and so is Laviska and everybody else on the team, he worries me. I've got him in a couple leagues because I was thinking, yeah, great 6th-round pick. Minshew loves throwing to him. He was a touchdown monster last year. He scares me now. Now, David Johnson, he's got a nice schedule coming up, and he's had 2 terrible games because he's played Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and he still scored a touchdown against Pittsburgh. They're using him in the red zone. I think he's got a safe floor. I really like him going forward.
Yeah, same. I think I can be quick with it. I mean, the schedule, the fact that he's done well enough to this point. I mean, he's been in double digits. He had a pretty good game against KC. He had points against Pittsburgh, nearly a dozen. Baltimore was really the only bad one. And his schedule coming up: Minnesota, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Green Bay, Jacksonville, Cleveland. Yeah, and then you get a couple of them in there. Then New England's usually kind of tough on the run and stuff like that. But Detroit, and then so on. So I think he is a fantastic buy low candidate.
Okay, well, let's see, what else do we got here? Thomas H said, tried watching the debate. You guys are better entertainment. Well, it depends on if you like watching car wrecks or not. Let's see. Sam says he got Jackson early. It was risky. It certainly was. Me too.
Yeah, about the debate. I think everyone thinks that we're the prime time entertainment tonight. Which, I mean, I don't think they're wrong.
I tried to get you to just do it at 9:00 because I wasn't watching. I can't do it. So he wouldn't do it. So it's Judah's fault. We could have provided an debate of our own for the entire time here.
Oh, yeah.
Get out the miniature violin. Because Jared's.
I'm sorry that I'm just thinking of our viewers. Excuse me.
What you guys think of Brandon Cooks going forward? It's a good question. I think he provides value, but what do you guys think?
Jared, you got that sneaky smile.
I was just still had a smug smile from my reply a second ago.
I said something clever.
I was just so satisfied with myself from that. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Brandon Cooks. I haven't been on the Brandon Cooks train in a while. I mean, he had a surprisingly good game against Baltimore, but 2 of the 3 games he's had 5 targets, 2 catches in one, 3 catches in the other, 20 yards, 23 yards. I would have to be incredibly desperate to. I can't even imagine the scenario where I would be desperate enough to fire him up. If I had tons of people out and Will Fuller's out and they're playing a trash defense, maybe in that scenario I fire up Brandon Cooks, but otherwise, no thanks.
Would you pick him up if he's on the waiver wire?
I mean, not unless I was in a deep league. Like, I don't think I would even play him in our league. Like, I mean, 2 out of 3 weeks, 20 and 23 yards, and it's not like he was tearing it up last year with the Rams. So yeah, no for me.
Yeah. Who would you rather have, Jefferson or Cooks?
Jefferson.
They're kind of the same player, right? Except one is a rookie.
No. No. Jefferson played a lot of slot at LSU, and he's still like a deep ball guy too. But he played a lot of the slot too. Cooks, like at this point, is just like exclusively a deep. Well, at least that's the only way he's really going to get you points. I mean, the 20 and 23 yards speaks to the fact that he's not doing that well, but he's not going to be like a volume catch the ball underneath guy to, give you half a dozen catches and some points.
Yeah. And especially with Jefferson, like worst case scenario, he's maybe Thielen's 3. Not that Rudolph gets that many targets. Love Kyle Rudolph, by the way. Not in fantasy, but I just love him as a player. He's awesome. But Jefferson's basically Cousins' only number 2 right now. If you're Deshaun Watson running for your life because your offensive line would, I don't even know. I can't even think of a good analogy right now for what they'd let through. He could hit Fuller, but I don't like Fuller. Randall Cobb is going to be off and on. Cooks is there. Johnson catches passes out of the backfield. I don't have any Texans wide receivers. I don't think anywhere, because I don't trust any of them, because I think it's going to be like a dart throw, a blindfolded dart throw about which guy is going to get the touchdown, with the exception of Fuller. But he's so injury prone that I don't have any of him anyway. Week 2, i.e. he was stretching the entire game. Don't like the Texans wide receivers.
Yeah, I drafted him in a late round in one league, and that was it. Like, honestly, and he's gonna get hurt. Like, I would rather have, but speaking of like Cobb, I would rather have Cobb over
I was thinking of that too. Was there a comment about it? No. Okay.
No.
But speaking of the waiver wire, right? Let's talk about people that you'd like, that you are targeting to get off the waiver wire. Let's start with wide receivers. Cobb is out there. Ayuk is out there. T. Higgins. And in many leagues, Lazard is out there as well. We've already talked about Jefferson. There's a lot of wide receivers. Are there any that you're targeting, Jared?
I mean, the top 2, I think, if they're out there, are Lazard. I think is it pronounced Lazard?
I think it's Lazard.
Okay. Lazard and Jefferson. I think Lazard's going to be more consistent. And then you've got the possibility, like Devontae Adams is hurt a ton, and so he's also got some upside too. So it's kind of tough, between him and Jefferson of like, who do you pick there? But I think Lazard maybe is going to be a little bit more consistent. Another guy I'll mention that I don't really love a ton. You mentioned T. Higgins, and of course he's out there. He had a good game, 9 targets, 5 catches, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looks like they're going to have to throw the ball a ton in that Bengals offense. But another guy that you didn't mention that people are probably going to be picking up, I don't know if he's going to be maybe fool's gold, is Greg Ward, the Philadelphia receiver.
Interesting.
Because Alshon Jeffrey's due back. The problem is, like, they played Cincinnati. Ward had 11 targets, 8 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. He had a great game. Prior to that, in week 2, he had 1 catch for 5 yards on 1 target. So they're playing San Francisco. San Francisco's secondary is still kind of okay. Then they play Pittsburgh. Then they play Baltimore. So it's a tough schedule coming up. And on top of that, Alshon Jeffrey is supposed to be back sometime soon. Deshaun Jackson's going to be there. So, and then actually I just saw where the Eagles pulled Hakeem Butler off of someone's practice squad. I don't remember whose it was, but Butler was like a 2nd or 3rd round wide receiver. Let's see, I think Arizona took him maybe. Anyway, I guess he's on somebody's practice squad, and they're going to convert him into a tight end, I guess, to replace Goddard.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, that's really interesting. So he
what is his name again?
Hakeem Butler. He's 6'5", 225. He got drafted by Arizona. I'm trying to think. Let's see. I'm looking to see if I can see here where he got drafted.
Butler sounds very interesting.
He was a 4th round pick. So I don't know. I mean, that seems like a tough ask to, like, oh, hey, come convert positions in the middle of the the season. So anyway, I'm just saying, I would be leery about paying too much for Ward, because I know that the Eagles don't have a lot at receiver, but between the schedule, the fact that some of these other guys are coming back, I bring him up just to say that I would probably avoid him.
What do you think, AJ? We've got, it's just a huge list of wide receivers: Curtis Samuel, Cole Beasley, Randall Cobb, Zach Pascal, Andy Isabella. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people out there, wide receivers. That are you looking? Because we're just specifically looking at wide receivers. We're going to move quickly on to running backs next. What do you think?
So I want to be careful not to spill too many of these, just in case someone else tries to also pick up players that I have. A lot of them are interesting to me. I think Higgins is interesting to me, especially if Burrow's going to throw the ball 60 times a game. And I'm not very high on Mixon until the second half of the year comes around. He's like the Jarvis Landry of running backs to me. When Isabella's, I think he could be Isabella. I think is an interesting number 2. 12 team. A lot of these guys are 12-team league guys to me. Isabella, Higgins, these are guys I definitely grab in 12-team leagues. Lazard, like Jared said, definitely the best one. I think especially if Adams is in and out half the year, because I have never really been that big, and Judah Buddha can testify to this, I've never been that big of a fan of MVS. I've never really liked Valdez-Scantling. But I do like Lazard. True. And now one of my friends who's a Packers fan is trying to trade for him. And I'm like, not a chance. So I think a lot of them are interesting to me. I think a lot of the other ones that did really well this week, the Cobbs, Isabella's, Higgins, I think they're 12-team league pickups for me.
Okay, well, let's move on. Those are some good names. We'll come back and revise them a little bit. Well, we got a comment we'll get to in a minute. But right now, let's talk about running backs. There's not as many wide receivers. As was mentioned, Carlos Hyde, Adrian Peterson, Sexy Rexy had a huge game.
The one game.
We were talking. We were talking about how, poor Ben felt so confident because like he had picked up someone to keep Scaraby Giraffe. Yeah. Oh, Jeff Wilson. Yeah. And he's like, there's nothing out there left on the waiver wire for this guy. And then he picks up Rex Burkhead, who goes off for like, what did he end up with? Like 25 points?
27?
He had like, He
had in our league, he finished with 31.3.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is brutal. That's brutal. Poor Ben.
That's rough, man.
Yes. Is that a pickup? Will he continue to keep this pace?
No.
I think it depends if James White. Sorry. James White is still out. James Brown is the singer.
That's correct.
If James White is still out, I think that Sexy Rexy is going to continue to be that passing down role. And for a lot of people, you have, what's his name? Sony Michel. I never remember his name. You still have Sony Michel on the waiver. A lot of people dropped him last week. He didn't do too bad this week either. He had a lot of carries. I think he had like 17 carries. Do you go out and get him?
No, I still don't really want any part of that Patriots running scheme. I mean, it was against the Raiders. I know the Raiders have been a feel-good story early in the season, but Cam sort of took a day off or a backseat from running the ball as much. Sony still only had 9 carries. He had 117.
9 carries. Okay.
Yeah, he had 117 yards. So that's maybe where the 17 came from.
Yeah.
But 9 carries. They play the Chiefs next week. We just saw that the Chiefs were pretty good against a similar style of offense with a mobile quarterback who likes to run and a strong run game. So, and then you got to think White's going to be back. I still don't really want any part of the Patriots running attack unless it's just like a desperation 1 week play or something.
Okay, well, we only have 2 minutes left. Did you want to give AJ? Did you want to give any input in that into the running backs?
Or do you want to talk about the Falcons and Bears?
Oh man, well, I'll say about the running backs. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan other than James White. Rex is interesting to me for 12 or 14 team, but I'm typically stacked at running back in a lot of places, so I don't really necessarily have a lot of room for him. But I think if you're still stuck with Shady McCoy, like some of us are, me, I think that
like,
it's
who?
in 112 team, I'm stuck with him. I think that Rex is probably worth picking up just for the heck of it, but I hate his matchup this week. And the Raiders defense is terrible against the run. Like we even saw, Kamara tear him up the week before. So I don't think this is necessarily going to be a constant thing.
Okay.
In terms of Falcons Bears, Thomas H, good game, but Nick Foles is the greatest backup in NFL history. So
Is it that, or is it the fact that the Falcons got out? Because I specifically mentioned, like, if the Falcons get up by 20, they're done. It's a guaranteed loss for him. Now, 15.
You literally put that in the text, and you're
Right.
like, yeah.
Now, granted, they didn't quite get up by 20. They got up by 15, but it was 15 with limited time left.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they became the first team ever, I think, to blow 15-point leads in back-to-back weeks.
I think it was just 215 in a year, right? And then they did it in back-to-back weeks or something like that.
I'll have to look real quick while we're talking about it. I think I've got the
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you
fantasy.
texted it to us. Yeah.
So
yeah.
But Thomas H, speaking of the game, says, surprise, Jimmy Graham is fantasy relevant again. Foles was locked in on him. So as far as tight ends go, there's some good tight ends, as there has been all season to go. Well, all season, all 3 weeks. Do you go out and get, who do we have? We have, I got the wrong list here. We got Eric Ebron, Jimmy Graham, Logan Thomas, Greg Olson, Mo Alley Cox. He's doing it. Tyler Eifert. What do you guys think? Do you go out and get one of these jamokes?
Go ahead, AJ, you if you want to, or if you want me to, I can go.
Sure, I can go ahead. For me, yes, with a question mark like that. I like getting backup tight ends, and I dodged a bullet last week because I was gonna pick up Jordan Reed, and then I remember Jared said something about how he gets injured, and someone else brought up to me that Kittle's coming back, and I was like, no, I'll get Schultz instead. That went well. So I do like picking up nowadays 2 tight ends just because there's so many ones that could be played. And while half the time it's a dart throw on who's going to score a touchdown, is it going to be Ebron? Is it going to be Schultz? Is it going to be Cox? I think definitely, like the guys you listed, I think they're definitely worth a pickup. Like I've got a couple leagues where I've got Ebron and Mo Alley, or Jimmy and someone else, something like that. If I don't have a Kelsey, or I actually don't have any Kittle. If I don't have a Kelsey, then yeah, I'll typically be repping with 2 tight ends and just kind of playing the matchup.
Yeah, I think it's worth having. It's just, I think we talked about this, maybe even in the last podcast, where it's really outside of a handful of tight ends. It's really going to be tough week to week to know who's going to perform and who's going to play. And then you get into this cycle of trying to guess which one's going to be the one. And you can, if you guess right, then you can land on it each week. If you get in a pattern of guessing wrong, then you're just getting like 2 points every week. Just like we said about, Hayden Hurst, Hurst ended up with 6 points, but 6.6 points because he caught one pass for a touchdown, like 1 yard. What's his name? Gasecki, was kind of the same way. He happened to catch a touchdown. Otherwise, he only had 1 catch for 15 yards.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of these guys. And like you look at Graham, from Jimmy Graham from 1 week to another. The previous week he had 1 catch for 18, or 1 target and 1 catch for 18. This week, 10 targets, 6 catches, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. So it's really tough. Higby had a down week again after those 3 touchdowns in week 2. So I think it's worth having 2, especially with all the injuries we're having. But you really have to be careful about like getting into a pattern of trying to guess which one's going to be the guy, because you can easily miss, over and over again. Whereas if you just leave one in, half the time he's going to do well. So I think that's the danger with it.
Yeah. Whichever one just scored 15, don't start him because he ain't going to do
it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't chase points. That's what, like in the stock market, that's how people lose a lot of money, is if it's up really high, let's get on, and then it goes down. If the guy just did really well, that's probably a good indication. It's not a good indication that he's going to do well again this week if he's not a consistent star, elite. You look at I like how you guys often point out how many touches are they getting, how many catches. That's important.
Yeah.
What are they doing with those catches?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to watch them too. How do they look? How are they fitting into the offense? Because that stuff's way more important than looking at box scores. This guy just had 15 points. Put him in your lineup.
Right.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons I actually kind of like Graham over a lot of the other guys. Like take Mo Alley. He has 3 catches in back-to-back games. Jimmy Graham with Foles was getting targets, like Thomas H. says, like nobody's business. He ran the second most tight end routes, period, last week. So I just like Jimmy just because of the volume he got with Nick Foles in there. Because with Trubisky, it was, okay, we'll throw it to him once in the red zone. That's it. So I like him as a high pickup. Yeah.
Gun to your head. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Gun to your head. Who are the top 3 for you? Top 3 pickups tonight, whether it be tight end, wide receiver. If you want to throw in a quarterback in there, I mean, there's just a plethora of quarterbacks. I'm just, because of time, skip that. Who are your top 3? I think I'm definitely going with Lazard. I'm definitely going with Ayuk. And I think, as far as there is, I want to get a running back in there, but I just don't really care about any of those. Ugh.
How many places is he owned? Because most of my leagues he's taken. He's only 47% overall.
Yeah, he's 40%. I guess I'd take Gaskin. I kind of like Carlos Hyde, to be honest with you.
Same. Anywhere I had Carson, I took Hyde.
Yeah, I like Carlos Hyde. So what do you guys? Top 3?
I would say my top 3 would be Gaskin. I mean, he got 22 carries, so it's still annoying that Jordan Howard seems to be getting the goal line touches.
Yeah.
Gaskin seems like a rich man's Devin Singletary if he's going to get 22 carries every week, but still without those goal line touches.
Singletary.
Our Devin Singletary is a poor man's Myles Gaskin if Gaskin keeps getting that volume like he did this week.
With the volume,
But that could be, an outlier, as we found out from, like we saw with Leonard Fournette, if we have time to discuss a couple of those. So I would say Gaskin, I mean, just because of the premium on running backs and the fact that he got 22 touches. Gaskin, Lazard. And then I would say if you need a quarterback, I'll just put these guys as, 1A and 1B somewhere in there, is Goff and Burrow. Now Goff is owned in 64% of leagues, but he's available in like 2/3 of mine. He's had back-to-back weeks of about 24 and 28 points. He gets the Giants and then the Redskins. So if you need a quarterback or Burrow, Burrow has also had back-to-back weeks of 20+ points, and he gets Jacksonville next week. So, or this week, sorry. So, if you're somebody who's been poor at quarterback and, maybe you have been and you don't know if that game's going to get played, then I think one of those guys is worth picking up. Because, I mean, that's something I think you have to prepare for too, is the possibility that at least like maybe that Titans Steelers game might not happen.
Important to note. Prepare accordingly. AJ Herschel, go.
Running back, Gaskin. Wide receiver, if not Lazard, because he's definitely ahead. If not Lazard, I'll say in deeper leagues, then Higgins. And then if I'm going tight end, it's probably Jimmy Graham, because if he's going to get 10 targets every time, that's a really, really nice pickup. Also, I just noticed Mike Davis is available in one of my leagues, so I'll be right back and make a transaction.
Yeah. Miles or Davis,
Mike Davis?
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis turned out to be a tremendous pickup there for as long as McCaffrey is out. So if McCaffrey owners got him, they're okay for a while. If they didn't, then that's tough.
Yeah.
But I mentioned before, we talked the perils of trying to figure out what Bruce Arians is going to do at running back. And we saw from the Tampa-Denver game that it didn't really work out too well all the way around. Rojo had 8.3 points. He had the most carries. He had 13 carries. Fournette had a meager 7 carries for 15 yards. He added, a reception or two. So he had 3.2 points after coming off just tearing up Carolina. So that's a tough spot. That's hard to, how do you really start anyone unless they're playing a terrible rush defense? How do you start anybody with confidence there?
Yeah. Well, one guy we didn't mention in that mix, Scotty Miller. We're looking at another couple weeks with Goddard out.
Godwin.
Godwin out. Scotty Miller might be if he's not picked up already, I think he's a solid pickup tonight. I think he could really do well for you as a flex in the next couple of weeks. And then Thomas H says, Mike Evans had the craziest line, 2 catches, 2 yards.
Worked out for me.
Wow. And he also says, of course, I was waiting for this.
Yeah.
A wise man once said, never trusted.
That's right. Thomas H did say that. Yeah. And then on the flip side of things, I was very wrong about Josh Kelly. That did not work out well with Josh Kelly. I think
I was so mad.
The fumble. Didn't he fumble?
I think he did.
Yeah. And
so I think he's gonna be okay. I
cannot tell you guys how ticked I was that he got like 5 points. I was like, I just told half the people that listen to us to put him in the starting lineup. Ugh.
Well, the guys that he was compared to didn't do too well either. So I don't think anybody blew up that we were trying to choose between. I can't really remember. Yeah. I think it was Juvano that was doing it. So if you can chime in, tell us how that worked out for you. Juvano also asked before we go, Devin Singletary or Darrell Henderson Jr., they both have sweet little matchups.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go Devin Singletary because of my man crush on him. But Darrell Henderson season is also high on my list. But Devin Singletary, I watch him. Look, he didn't get a lot of points for you this week, but he's just a really good player. And in a good matchup, I'm taking the better player. That's all. What do you guys think?
I'm actually probably rolling with your guy Darrell Henderson.
Henderson?
It may be. I wouldn't mind trading for him for some places. He got so the little note from today is that Rams coach Sean McVay believes Henderson will start in week 4 against the Giants. He says, I think so. I think the more that he plays and the more he's available, the better he's going to get. So, I mean, the way he's played, so far, I think, I think he deserves the bulk of the touches. I know we haven't seen a ton from Cam Akers, but I don't think, Cam has really done anything. Is he even going to be back? I don't know. And the Giants are also just a sweet matchup. So I would lean Henderson for the fact that he'll get the goal line touches, and especially it's harder if Zach Moss is still out. then it's a harder pick between Singletary and Henderson. If Moss is back, then it's an easy Henderson for me.
Yeah. I would say exactly what Jared said. Yeah, if Moss is back, then Henderson, and it's not even close. But if he isn't, Singletary's got one of the best matchups in the league in the horrible Las Vegas run defense. And the thing with the Bills is I don't know who's going to get the points between him and Allen, who's going to get the rushing points. But I mean, even Singletary's used in the pass game a little bit. So in PPR, he's still kind of nice. So if Moss isn't there, come back and ask us again on Saturday. But right now, I'd probably say Henderson.
I think it's a wealth of, what do they call it? A wealth of pain? No, a wealth of decision? I don't know. A choice between two good things. So you are, a riches, what is it? I can't remember.
3 hours later. It's a cornucopia of amalgamation of
it's a bevy of a bunch.
I think either way you're good to go. Would you start both of them over Miles Sanders? Who are they playing?
Sanders plays, I believe, San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I think I would probably rank that Henderson, Sanders, Singletary if Moss is out. I'm sorry, if Moss is in. If Moss is out, I might put Singletary above Miles Sanders. Like, Miles Sanders has been doing reasonably well. He hasn't had touchdowns. But that Philadelphia offense is not looking great.
Yeah, I think he'd be dead last for me. I think I would play both these guys over Miles Sanders just because I'm worried. I don't even know who's going to be the quarterback. They might pull Carson Wentz.
Yeah, they could
during the game. So I don't know. I mean, that might be good for Miles Sanders. I don't know.
I hadn't really paid attention to that. So are they talking about replacing him with Ramsey, or I'm sorry, with Hurts?
I don't know. He just didn't rule it out. He didn't rule it out. He said, I forget what the quote was, but he said he's sticking with this guy for now, or something like that. It's just not looking great, and I don't think it's Carson's fault.
Right.
Statistically, actually, he's gotten some, I think, top 10, or at least top 15 most time in the pocket in the league. I think that part of it may be the fact that his wide receivers are either old, injured, or inexperienced. So that's never a great situation to be in. And now Goddard's on IR, so he's got one less weapon. I think the Eagles are just a mess this year in general. Wentz is maybe operating at 70% capacity. The offensive line is old, and his wide receivers can't do anything. I think the Eagles are just a mess in general.
Last question, and then I'm going to hit the button. What is the best streaming defense? I am going to go ahead and go with the Chiefs. You could probably get them off the waiver wire.
What? For real?
Yeah, they're out there on a lot of waiver wires.
That's crazy.
You can't get the Chiefs. What do you guys think? Who would be a good streaming defense this week?
There's the two that come. I'm just looking to see what percentage owned some of these ones are. So the two that come to mind for me that are, let's see, this one's 38% owned. This one's 58%, whatever. I'm using it anyway. Would be the Broncos and the Rams, because the Broncos go to the Jets Thursday night, and the Jets are just a collection of various sizes and colors of trash cans. So they provided 2 defensive touchdowns for the Colts over the weekend. Now, granted, the Colts seem like after week 1, they got their act together and they're a pretty good defense. But still, the Jets are trash, and the Giants have also been trash. And so neither one of these defenses has really looked that great to this point on its own. but I think they're just playing such dumpster fires that, they can go from putting up 4 or 5 points to a dozen. So I think those would be 2 streaming options for me.
What do you think, AJ?
Yeah, honestly, mine are probably the same. I was gonna say the Rams because they're playing the pointless the Giants, who have no offense whatsoever. And then Denver's the other one. I think those are easily the best. If those 2 are gone, I think Arizona could be interesting. They get Carolina, so I mean that's a riskier play, but I mean compared to who else is out there? Cincinnati, Dallas.
I think the New York Jets might be a good play. I don't know if you saw the game, but Driscoll, the line could not do anything to protect anybody, and Driscoll looked terrible.
Well, to be fair, they were playing Tampa. Let's be fair here.
But I'm just saying he did not look like a professional football player out there.
That's a good point. That Broncos Jets matchup could feature 2 good streaming defenses. And actually, I think they've already said that.
I was about to say
Brett Ripien, the son of Mark
Ripien.
Right? Yeah. He's gonna, he came into the game. Oh, that's right. We forgot. You're not a longtime football guy. So Mark Ripien was. I always forget how to say his name. Ripien.
I think it's Ripien.
Okay.
Ripien.
I'm gonna go.
Ripken.
I'm gonna go with yours. Yeah. Right.
Of course.
So he was the Redskins quarterback in the 90s, I guess, like early 90s. Yep. So Brett is his kiddo. So
he's coming in for who?
Jeff Driscoll.
For the Broncos. Yeah, he's gonna replace Driscoll. So the Broncos are now on their 3rd quarterback.
Fire up every defense against them.
That's actually a good point. Like I'm now, the more I think about it, the Jets might be a better play than the Broncos just because of I
think they have at least one good pass rush.
I will say though, since the Broncos are so terrible, Melvin Gordon could have his biggest game of the year against a terrible Jets defense.
That's true.
True.
That is true.
Yeah, they might not have to throw. They might just run the ball every time. And Philip Lindsay could be back, but it being on a short week, it's more likely that they hold him out till the next week.
From what I saw, even if he comes back, he's going to be limited. So
yeah,
doesn't look good for him. All right, guys, that's it. Any final waiver wire picks to pick up? Number 1, gun to your head. Who you got to go out and get tonight? Did you not hear me? There is a gun at your head.
Sure, but which league? That's what matters. What are my needs in that league? So if he's out there, I would probably get Gaskin just for the premium on running backs. If he's not, then I would say Lazard.
That's what I was going to go with. What do we got? Yeah, AJ?
I would probably say the same thing, though I would also say if you have the room in deeper leagues and you're a Gurley owner, me, Brian Hill is basically the Carlos Hyde of the Atlanta Falcons. I think if Gurley goes down, Hill is a really, really nice handcuff. He's my sneaky one I'll throw in here.
I really wonder if they wouldn't just do better if they just made him the starting running back. Like if they're just stubborn because of what they paid Gurley. But if they wouldn't just do better with him, I don't know.
The Falcons' run game, it was so weird because their run game against Chicago was actually successful. They were averaging like 5.5 yards a carry for the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they just stopped.
Sneaky, deeply looking for the future. If you're doing all right now and you need somebody for next like further down the season, Anthony McFarland, I'd pick him up as a speculative pickup. He did pretty well in the game. He's a rookie, but we all know the people ahead of him are not Sherlocks to be playing the rest of the season.
7-10.
So
7-10 just came in with a late comment about his victory.
Oh, and Ryan N isn't here. Oh man.
All right. Well, Juvano says, take care, guys. And on that note, good night.
See you
Take care,
Saturday.
guys.
Yeah.